Welcome to the Real Mama Pod.
I'm your host, Devin.
And I'm your host, Kendra.
We are real moms.
Sharing real experiences. The things people don't tell you.
Hey, mama, hey.
Hey, Mama, hey.
How you doing, friend?
I'm well. How are you?
I cannot complain. You're just well?
I am just well.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. Well, if this is your first time listening, I'm your host, Kendra.
And I'm your host, Devin. Welcome to the Real Mama Pod. As you all can see, and we'll hear soon, we have a beautiful guest here. We have Ashlei, the Bawse Mom Movement.
Come on, boss mamas.
We're going to talk about all the boss things she is doing. But before we get into that, we're going to get into a review. So if this is your first time listening, we are asking for reviews. We have the aesthetics, we have everything we need, but now we need your reviews to become a household name. We want the Real Mama Pod to be playing in everyone's ear, or at least every mama's ear, at least.
No, everybody.
Minimum,
it ain't even got to be everybody.
Okay? But y'all been listening because we do have a review. And she gave us 5 stars, okay? And we know this person. But Chris526, okay?
Hey, girl.
Hey, girl, hey. Hey, mama, hey. Okay, thank you so much, ladies, for your time and dedication with this podcast. Thank you for shouting out our dedication because this is hard work. Mm-hmm. The guests are always amazing. That's true. And the topics touched on are things that are usually never discussed. I appreciate everyone's openness and desire to not only educate, but gives mothers a voice, all caps. Keep up the awesome work and touching mamas everywhere. Thank you so much.
That's our goal. Thank you.
We are really trying to do that. Mm-hmm. And so speaking of touching mamas everywhere, we have Ashlei here. And Ashlei has created this movement for mamas, Bawse Mamas, giving motivation to mamas who've lost their motivation or lost themselves in motherhood and just created this space where they can feel safe and vulnerable. And she's in alignment with everything we're doing as well. So we connected via social media. We found out we have so much in common.
Right.
So many friends in common. It was like, how have we not connected sooner? Like, where have we been?
The world is too small.
The algorithm wasn't doing its job.
Right. It wasn't rhythming.
So we are so excited to have you. Thank you for joining us. This is going to be so much fun.
Welcome,
and
Ashlei.
Welcome to the Real Mama Pod.
And that's Bawse, B-A-W-S-E.
Bawse.
Like a boss.
Yes.
Rig Ross.
Okay, so this is your first time here. Usually we ask our mamas to briefly describe their journey to mamahood. Okay. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yes, so my journey was interesting, I would say. I actually curated the Bawse Mom. I was about 6 months pregnant. Okay. And because I was already freaking out about motherhood, I had just picked up a new job at the time. I had done a career transition right before the pandemic. Okay. So I was excited to get back to work because I got laid off as well. So it was like, okay, boom, you're back in your career. Oh, you're pregnant. How are we going to do this? That's literally, that was my thought. Like, I was in tears because I felt like it wasn't the right time. So the journey started a little rocky because I was debating back and forth, should I even move forward with motherhood? And so I needed inspiration to continue being a working woman because at the time I thought I wanted to climb the corporate ladder. And so the journey, it ended up being fine. I supported family and friends, like, girl, you got this. Like, it's going to be fine. I had an easy pregnancy, so it was nothing physical, that took me down, but it was just more so mental, like, okay, girl, we have to figure out how we're really going to balance this. And I had my son. He's amazing. He's 2.5. But his first year of life, I didn't know that I was, like, depressed. So it was like, mommy, work, mommy. Really nothing in between. Right. So I would say, like, even the start of the journey once he actually got here, because that's 2 different lives, like pregnancy journey and then actually stepping into motherhood. It was a little rough because I was going through a promotion at work. Even though I had just started already going through a promotion at work because I have that mindset, like, I'm a hustler, go-getter. When I'm doing something, I'm putting my all into it. So it was like, okay, you're trying to learn how to be a mom and then also learn this job, which I was in a new industry as well. So it was just a lot of newness.
A lot of transitions.
You know? Yeah. So it was a little difficult, but you know, almost 3 years later and we're here.
Here we go.
There you go.
So we talked about you being the founder and creator of the Bawse Mom Movement. Can you tell us a little bit about what the Bawse Mom Movement is, and what really prompted you to start this movement?
Yeah. So it's an empowerment space for moms, really trying to figure out how to balance yourself. I would like to say your world, right? Your personal, professional world with motherhood, and being resilient enough to do it, being confident enough to do it, and also making sure that we're not leaving ourselves behind. Because I feel like a lot of times when we step into motherhood, it's kind of like the society thought, right? When you become a mom, that's it. That's all, right? It's just you, your kids, your family. And so wanting to kind of pivot from that, I don't like to fall into societal norms with motherhood. It's really about redefining that journey, because you don't have to give up who you are. You know, yes, I'm mommy, but I'm also these other things. I'm still Ashlei, you know, maybe a different version, right? But you know, I'm also a speaker. I'm a 9-to-5 hottie, as I like to say, hottie mom. Author now, like, so the title is not just mom, it's other things if you choose to be, right? Because sometimes you may not want to indulge in working, you know, some days I don't want to indulge in work either, but you know, or other things that you might have personal goals that you aspire to be, and it's like that fire doesn't have to die because you became a mom.
Yes. And we preach that on this podcast. Like, I think our generation is challenging this narrative of what a mother is supposed to look like. We grew up seeing images of our moms, grandmamas, great grandmamas. And it's like, I appreciate the foundation that you've set for me, but because this foundation is here, I'm able to be the woman that I'm meant to be, not just Kendra the mama or Ashlei the mama or Devin the mama. Like, we're more than just moms and partners, and like, we have our own lives and identity too. So I'm happy that you have this platform to challenge mamas to be the best versions of themselves. So hats off to you, girl.
Thank you. So speaking of your platform, what is your hope for your organization that you started?
I want to see more confident moms. There a lot of times I have conversations with moms from different events that I've hosted, or even podcast interviews where, you know, it's kind of that I feel like I lost myself. I don't know who I am, or I'm sitting on this great idea, this business I want to launch, or, you know, I want to write a book and I just feel like I can't do it, or I don't have the time to do it. Losing that sense of motivation, right? And so I want us to walk with more confidence. We're great mothers, even that too, because sometimes I feel like, you know, we kind of question, am I a good mother, you know? And because the world says this is what a good mother is. This is what a perfect mom, and we all know that there is no way to be a perfect mom. There's no way to be a perfect individual. So how can you be a perfect mom? You know? And so just kind of breaking that down, but truly just walking authentically into who you are, the best version of yourselves. And I just want to see less of, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I could have done this, and more of, I did this. You know?
So I do have a follow-up question to what you just said. As far as being a confident mom, what does that look like? What does a confident mom look like?
So I like to say, you know, you ignite that, embrace that inner boss. I feel like we all have it in us. And I'm a person who struggled with confidence, like, growing up. So I feel like I'm my most confident self now as a mom. But really, like, being that boss, when you think about your boss, right? And we've all had one at some point in our lives. Like, they're at the top, right? You know, they walking around like, I run this type of thing, right? That's how we should be walking around, like, because we do. I mean, we run the household.
Like, let's be real.
We run the household, and you know, when things go wrong with the kids, who are they always calling? Mom. You know, so be confident in your ability to be a mom, but also be confident in your ability to be you. And so that's what I envision, is to see just more moms stepping up and stepping into who they are, and not allowing things to stop them from that. Whether it's your mindset, your confidence level shot down, because maybe even from the way that we look, we all go through the mom bodies, and it's different forms. Like, I've been talking about it a lot lately on social media, but I lost a lot of weight when I had my son. And so that carried over into my confidence level, because I didn't like what I look like, you know, whereas some moms gain weight and they don't like what they look like. So us walking confidently, embracing that new body, embracing that new life that you have with your little ones, who you're going to raise to be amazing people, and then embracing that bossness that you have to do the other things that you want to do.
Yeah.
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 That's a challenge. And it's like, again, we grew up with this narrative of this is what a mom's supposed to look like. But now I'm in a career that I love, but it's very busy. It's very demanding. And sometimes it requires me to be away from home a lot. And I think, I'm like, dang, like I should be home. Of course, that guilt comes with, dang, I should be at home with my child and my husband. However, I also have a dream that I will chase or continue to chase, and make sure that my dream is my dream and I'm okay with being who I am in that space. So it's good that you, again, have this platform to give mamas the okay to, be confident in who you are. Climb that ladder if you want to. Do the work that you want to do and be okay with that, because you're still a great mom, but you're also a great person in who you want to be for yourself.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I want to go back to something you said earlier about you losing weight and losing your confidence, because I don't feel like it's a huge space for that. A lot of times moms talk about gaining weight and not feeling like themselves in their body, but we kind of forget to discuss those moms who lose weight, because sometimes it's the reverse and a kid literally sucked the life out of you, right? I kind of wish that kind of happened to me in a sense, but still, you have to love the skin that you're in, and it's difficult whether you gain weight or lose weight, right? Because you know where you once were, where you was most confident at. So how did that personal struggle impact you, and then how did you get through that? How did you persevere and become this confident woman that you are today?
Yeah. So it negatively impacted me because, number one, I've always been a small girl, and so me putting on the weight prior to motherhood, I was happy. I'm like, okay, we're finally reaching some body goals here. You know, I don't have to go get the BBL or whatever. I don't have to go get it because I was working towards it. I was living in St. Louis and I was working out like every day, and then making sure that I was eating and stuff like that. And then I got pregnant and I gained weight with him, and I was just crossing my fingers that I was going to keep the weight, and it didn't happen. And partially because I did fall into that depression where I was literally maybe eating one meal a day, living off coffee, you know, long nights with the baby, but then long days because I was working as well. And so it just, like I said, the thought of taking care of me just didn't cross my mind, honestly. And so it was a struggle, and I felt like I couldn't gain the weight back. But then now when I sit down and think about it, was I really trying? And I think that that's where like that confidence kind of kicks in, because if you're not confident and you're kind of already feeling down, it's kind of hard to pick yourself back up. Well, not kind of, but it is. It's absolutely hard to pick yourself back up and tell yourself, okay, if you truly want to make this change, you got to put the work in. You know, get back in the gym consistently, start eating meals, healthy meals, and, you know, not skipping anything, because, you know, we would like to think that if I don't eat, I don't gain weight. You know, people have that thought, but it's like, no, like you do have to eat, whether you're trying to gain or not. Like that's a part of just living, honestly. You have to eat your meals. So
you gotta eat.
You know, like even if you're eating like a bird or whatever, like you gotta eat, put something in your body. Because it's also, you want to be healthy, you know? So it was like, you're losing this weight and you're not healthy. You're not getting rest, because I didn't do self-care. And so it really just came to the head of the situation where it's like, you have to take control. And when I think about, you asked me about like just even, you know, being a boss and confidence, like taking control. At the end of the day, like we control the direction that our lives go, you know, go into. And of course I like to lean on God too. So I always add like me and God, big God, like what me and him do together, like I'm unstoppable, but I have to do my part too, you know? And so it just came to the point where it was like, okay, Ashley, you got to get a regimen going on here. We got to make sure we're eating and stuff and really take control of this, so that you're not sitting and soaking in the fact that you look like this, because we get into those spaces where you see the problem, but you don't really work on how to solve it. And you just sit and you fall in that state of, you know, depression. And it's like the problem. Okay, but what's the solution?
Yeah.
You know? So I had to take control.
You took control. So while taking control of just your life and starting all of these businesses and your movement and being a mom now of a 2-year-old, like, what have you learned about yourself through all of these transitions and the confidence that you speak to?
I learned that I am my biggest problem because I talk myself out of things. Like, I'll see a goal or something I want to do that becomes a goal, and I tell myself, essentially, you're not good enough to do it, right? And so I learned that my word this year has been transformation. And I'm like, girl, what are you, like, I have talks with myself, like, what are you doing? Because if you see something that you want to do and you want to go after, why aren't you doing it? Like, what makes anyone else any better than you?
Right.
That you can't do it, you know? And that's what I've been learning just even within my motherhood journey. It's like, okay, you can balance being a mom with his busy self and also all the hats that you wear. But then also understanding that there are some hats that I may no longer need to wear. You know, there was things that I was doing prior to motherhood. Like, I had a travel agency that I've been doing for like since 2018 prior to. And I had to let that hat go.
Yeah.
You know, I started by letting my mom wear it and help me out. And then like a month or two ago, I said, okay, it's done. We're done. Like, this chapter is closed, you know? And I think that once you really sit down, because sometimes you have to do that reflection with yourself. It's like,
absolutely.
Okay, you're running and running and running, but some of these things no longer serve you. So what are we going to give up so that we can prioritize the things that do?
Yeah.
You know? And so that's honestly what I've learned. It's like, girl, you can't say yes to everything. And some things you just gotta let it go.
We are learning that. Oh, well, we've learned those lessons and we're still learning. It's like, before we had kids, we were everywhere. It's like, oh, if anybody needs anything, yes, we're here to support. Me and Devin have similar views on supporting and being loyal friends and family members or whatever. But after having these kids, I'm sorry. And that's been hard for, like, no is not something that I typically say unless I'm just absolutely not on board for it. Yeah. But if it's something that I can move and shake, I'm like, okay, I'll support. But now that I have my son, I'm very mindful of the things that I can say yes to and the things that I will say no to. Yeah. It's hard, but you got to do it for yourself and your kid, your family.
Sure. You do. And even if it's something like the travel agency, that was my baby. That was like my first side hustle. So it was like, oh my gosh, you can't let this go. This is your first start into entrepreneurship. But it's like, you know, I'm a firm believer in seasons, and that season is done. And I can't. It was like, okay, when you talk about balancing and like spreading yourself too thin, it was completely out of pocket for me to be doing all of those things. But so sometimes you have to let things go completely. And others, you might just step away from certain tasks. Like, I'm also a manager of a hair extension store here called Honey Hair Co. Okay. And I was super involved with the company. And I had to step back from some of the responsibilities because I'm like, this no longer serves me as a mom now. Right. Yeah. You know, I still have to have time for not only family, but myself, because I'm doing all these things, and it's like you're running off you know? And so I just really had to think about that. So it was kind of like twofold. It's like, okay, telling myself that I can do certain things. So like advancing the Bawse Mom movement and not being shy or too scared of what the results may be. But then also another thing I learned alongside that is, like I said, to let go of certain things too. So.
Yeah. You got to let it go. Let it go.
Good. Yeah, that's real good. I'm letting go still. So we were talking a lot about the Bawse Mom movement, and I think it's important to highlight and to share, just in case someone or a mama who's listening want to experience your summit next year. So walk us through that. What does it look like? What are some things y'all doing over there? Hopefully we can make it next year.
I know.
Yes. So I usually, let me back up. The summit is a birthday gift to myself. So I always do it in March. My birthday is March 16th. I don't do it on my birthday, but my birthday actually falls on a Sunday next year. So I'm thinking about doing it on my birthday. And then, you know, just taking my trip either before or after. But I love the summit. It started virtually. My first year was right after the pandemic, and I didn't have the funds. So I said, you know what, I'll just do it on Zoom. And I had a small panel, got some girlfriends together, and we had a decent turnout for what it was. And I was excited. And since then, we have now gone in person. So this year we did it at the Renaissance, and we have different panel topics. I choose different topics that explain motherhood, truly like our journeys. But also it's educational too. And it will become even more educational as the years go on, and adding things like a financial literacy panel, because there are a lot of moms that do work, right? There are a lot of moms that are also single moms. And so and even if you're not, most of the time we're handling the finances as well. So I really think it's important for us, especially as Black moms, to be financially well, learning things like I just learned about being my own bank and really knowing what that means. And I took a loan from my retirement, because I needed it. And I only knew of taking a loan to where you get that tax penalty. So now just learning that, as a mom in corporate, other moms in corporate, like if you're in a financial bind, you can borrow from yourself. And so just things like that, or even learning about life insurance. A lot of people don't even have life insurance, and learning about different policies that don't come with that corporate job. But if you're an entrepreneur, and getting that and investments and all the things, right? It's just so much that we don't discuss, and we don't know what you don't know, but I want to bring that, to the panel and hearing from other moms. So that's my thing, is I want us to hear from other moms that are doing these things. So yes, we talk about the motherhood journey and those struggles, but I also, like I said, that educational component and adding things that is going to help us grow personally and professionally. So ultimately, that is what the summit is focused around, the personal and professional development of moms.
Yeah. And this community is absolutely needed. Because we're each other's resource.
Absolutely.
It's like, yes, you have your partner, your husband, boyfriend, whomever, but only a mama is going to know what you're going through. So this community is needed. And you, in this brand, you challenge mamas to really take ownership in who they are. But I'm going to challenge you in this next question.
Okay.
So I want to ask you, because you inspire moms to really be the best versions of themselves and embrace who they are. But I want you to talk to us a little bit about what you love about yourself. I want you to talk to us about Ashlei. What do you love about Ashlei?
I love Ashlei's personality. Like, she rarely meets a stranger. And I love that for me, because the world is so cruel, and it doesn't even have to be, people, it's like cliques everywhere. You would think we're still in high school, right? Just like within the world. But it's like, I just love that about me. Like, I'm not going to fake who I am, just to be in a circle of certain people, which is probably why I'm not in certain circles, because I just don't believe in doing that. And so I would probably say that's the best part of me. And, I like to say I'm a part-time comedian. My boyfriend thinks I should give that life up, but I like to think I'm funny. So, but yeah, I would say, and I also love my hustle. I will say that. I'm a lifelong learner. I'm always looking to learn something new. I'm actually taking a course now. Now, I don't necessarily like school, but I like to learn. And because the world's forever changing, and I just want to stay relevant and know what's going on. But I believe that, number one, no one can take your education and your knowledge from you. So as long as I keep learning, I feel like I'm unstoppable. So
that's real.
You are, girl.
That's good. You are unstoppable.
Thank you.
I love that. So speaking of being unstoppable, at some point, this phrase of doing it scared, right? When I hear that phrase, I immediately think of you and your journey and your process of everything that you've done to get here, right? You did it scared.
Yes.
You didn't know. You was out for a challenge with starting a new job, being 6 months pregnant. What does that term mean to you?
That's funny that you say you think of me, because I think of me too. Literally, because like I said, me being a person that was not always confident, I was always scared, and so to me, I think that's just like a motivating tactic. Like, girl, you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
Good, bad, ugly, unless you do it.
Yeah.
And that is really how I live through the Boss Mom, is doing it scared. Like, a lot of times we don't do it because we're scared. And that holds us back because we're thinking no one's going to support us, no one's going to show up. Right. And that may be true, you know. Yeah. It's definitely a 50% chance that no one is going to, but then there's also a 50% chance that someone will.
Yeah.
But you won't know unless you do it. Yeah. And
yeah.
so I think a lot of people in general really should live by that. Like, do it scared. Anything you do, you don't know what it's going to do because you've never done it before. You know. When I started the job, like I said, it was a new industry that I knew nothing about. My background is more in education. I work in banking now. Had no idea what I was talking about. Yeah. You know, and I'm talking to people that's making $1 million bucks, you know. They've been doing what they're doing for a long time. And that personality, because I recruit, you know, I just throw it in there. Well, when I used to anyway, when I first started, like, hey, I'm new to this. I don't know what I'm talking about. So you might have to break things down for me. Right. And, you know, we laugh it off and they're like, oh, it's fine, because people like to tell you what they do. They want to talk about that. So they didn't have issues educating me with that. But I was doing that scared because I was intimidated by the fact that these are, in my mind, you know, high profile people. That's what I was telling myself. But shoot, girl, you high profile, you know, pull up to the table.
Yes, like, high profile.
So it's me just doing it scared and knowing that because I'm doing it with purpose and passion, that it's going to be okay.
Yeah. So as we wrap things up, we do want to touch on your son, because we haven't really talked about him much. What does parenting look like for you?
Fun. Off the chain. You know, the toddler stage is the toddler stage. And I don't know, these pandemic babies, I mean, obviously he's my first, so I don't have anything to compare, but I have,
they different,
you know,
I got a comparison.
I'm like, I don't know, are you supposed to be doing this? But it's fun. I enjoy it, you know. And motherhood is chaotic. It is. You never really know what you're gonna get. But I love seeing him grow. That's the part. It's like, he's super smart. He keeps me on my toes. When I was we were getting ready to come here, and he was like, Mommy, we going to school? Every day he thinks we're going to school when we get up. I'm like, we're not going to school today. We're going to record a podcast. And he's like, okay. But it's just, I don't know. It's really a feeling that you really can't explain unless you're a mom. You know, we always know. But I didn't know what it was going to be like. You know, like we say, I did it scared. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm
still doing that scared.
I'm like, forever. Every year is going to be something new, something different with your kid. And so I was actually talking to my best friend, because she's pregnant now, and she's scared. And she was like, yeah, I started watching videos, like birthing videos. I personally didn't, because I didn't want to put anyone else's experience on me. Right. You know, I'm like, I want my experience to be my experience. So I was like, girl, stop watching those videos, you know, like, stop putting that stuff into your mind, because usually you're looking at the negative stuff anyway. So I'm like, you know, your journey is going to be what it's going to be. And that's how I feel about mine. And I'm like, it's going to be fun. You're going to learn something new about yourself. You're going to learn how to be a mom, you know, how to be a mom, right? Because I don't want to say how to be a good mom or anything. Like, you're going to learn how to be a mom for you and your baby girl, because that's what I'm doing. That's what you're doing. Like, we're all doing it our way. What's going to work for you and your household is going to work. So I love it here. I do. Even when he pisses me off, I love it.
You learn something every day. Like, there's never a day where you're not in the classroom of motherhood.
Yeah, literally.
Forever students, whether they are 0 months or 0 to 3 months, or they're adults. Because I know my parents are still, or my mom is still learning how to handle her grown daughter, you know, and that's a whole nother conversation. But yes. But we're so happy that you are here. We're happy to continue to support the Bawse Mom Movement, because it is a movement, and you keep leading the charge.
Thank you.
Keep leading the charge.
And I just want to say this: you're a great mama. Even though we've only known you for a short period of time, what you display is just wonderful. And I know sometimes we need to hear that from other moms, because we don't necessarily believe it. We can tell other moms they're doing a great job, but we can't tell ourselves that. Right. So I just want to affirm you in this moment.
We can. We can tell ourselves that.
Yeah, but sometimes we're critical of ourselves.
Absolutely.
If we're being honest. But affirm you and give you your flowers and let you know you're doing a great thing. And thank you for your community. Seriously.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You too.
Thank you, Ashley. All right. So let's tap into our mama juice.
Yes.
Okay.
So let me grab my glass here.
Mine's too, because this is good.
This is good. So Mama Juice is my favorite segment of the show because y'all know Ken loves a good cocktail. But Ken ain't making the drinks no more. And that makes Ken happy. So we have our cocktails, which is called it's actually a pineapple upside down cake, but we're calling it something different. It's the Bawse Mama. Ooh. Because we got a Bawse Mama next to us, right? So our Mama Juice is sponsored by Premier Pours, which is a luxury mixology company here in Atlanta. And the reason why I said pineapple upside down is because they actually call this a pineapple upside down. It's like a pineapple margarita. But because we have our girl here, Ashley, who's a Bawse Mama, we said we're going to name this the Bawse Mama. And she just so happened to like tequila. So it was alignment there. So let me give y'all the rundown of what the drink tastes like. So we have pineapple juice, we have orange liqueur, we have honey, we have, of course, tequila, and he also threw a little bit of strawberry and lime in there. So it's really good. Y'all know I don't like sweet drinks, but this is actually not that sweet to me.
And I don't like tequila, and I can't taste
it,
so I love it.
So shout out to Demetrius and Bruce for mixing up a really good drink, very well balanced. Yes. And if you are interested in ever sponsoring a Mama Juice, let us know. We'd be happy to have you and shout you out on the show. So shout out to Premier Pours with Bruce and Demetrius.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next segment is Mama's Corner, and this is my favorite segment because this is our opportunity to connect with our guests further or with our listeners. Sometimes they can write in and ask us a question, or we can be reflective. And I think since we have you here and you're like this whole expert in community, we should ask you an additional question. So I really want to know this because I feel like sometimes motherhood can be isolating, especially if you're the first one in your friend group to have a kid, or, if you're the last one and all the kids are like older and you're stuck with the baby. Like, it could just be isolating because sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, I forget things from when they were little, so I kind of forget like how hard it was. And so I try to be intentional on my new mom friends, like just checking in, like, hey, how you doing, whatever, because you forget how isolating it could be. So how can a mama build community? What does that look like?
So I would say so there are a lot of virtual communities, but then also getting out and meeting new moms. There are several mom groups, especially here in Atlanta, or opportunities where you can get out and just, number one, get a breath of fresh air. But then also connect with another mom who may have a child the same age as you or going through similar situations, which is why I love putting on events because I think that they're needed. A lot of us always complain that we don't get out much. I know I was that mom. Like, I'm at home and I work from home, so I'm always home. And sometimes it's just good to get out either by yourself or even with your kids. So that's how I would say build a community is, find something online or try to find something local that you can attend.
That's good. So if anyone ever wants to write into Mama's Corner, I read those emails. So go ahead and write into us at mama@therealmamapod.com, and we can answer questions through Mama's Corner. But that was awesome. So anything you want to plug, Ashley, anything you're working on, anything we should be on the lookout for, you can do that now.
Okay. So I do have an online community. If you need some mom friends to chit chat with, it's a community chat group. So you can join the Bawse Mom community. You can actually follow me on Instagram so you can get the link at the Bawse Mom Movement. And then in May, there's a Mother's Tea brunch that I'm hosting at Queens ATL. It's a cute, chic tea spot, I would say. So I've never been yet. This is my first time, but they were vendors at the summit. They brought in an entire tea mock-up. It was super cute. So I'm excited to go and host this. So that is going to be May 18th. And yeah, just stay on the lookout because there's going to be a mommy mixer soon.
Okay. All right, mommy mixer.
Right. Yes.
Just let us know.
Yes, let us know. Let us know. One of us would try to make it for sure. More so Kendra than me, but if I'm here.
Yes. Yeah. Since I'm local.
I like the cocktails.
And you know, if the cocktails are there, Ken is there.
This was so great. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ashlei.
Appreciate all the gems you
Thank
dropped.
you for the work you're doing.
And thank you for the work that you were doing. Absolutely. Well, this concludes our show. Until next time, mamas.
Bye.